Hello everybody, welcome to F1 Grandstand. I'm Tony Craig, and if you are an F1 fan, you are in the right place. Hit the subscribe button, join the community and get involved. Now let's talk team upgrades. McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes secret upgrades for the 2026 Belgian Grand Prix taking place this weekend. Well, first up, let's have a look at what McLaren are bringing to the table. So McLaren currently are first in the constructors standings with 460 points, 238 points ahead of Ferrari in second. They obviously have the driver championship leader Oscar Piastri currently on 234 points. Lando Norris has 226 points, so he's second and they are only separated by just 8 points. Verstappen in third with 165 points, so Piastri has a 69-point gap over Max. Yet McLaren are planning to build on its performance this season and even this weekend, revealed by team principal Andrea Stella. So what's that first upgrade? At Silverstone in FP1, they tested a new floor. Now this was just supposed to be, a little test. They weren't actually even considering this as a real upgrade this season. It sounds like some mechanic or some engineer went, "Here, Zac, I've got a new floor. Do you want to give it a go?" Because he's obviously from Yorkshire. So they've tried this new floor out, gave it a run and gone, actually, this works. This is an improvement on what they've already got. And they're already miles ahead of everybody else. So they're going to run that new floor in Spa. And they've also got a new suspension upgrade. Now this upgrade to the MCL39 was developed to help Norris find comfort with the car and to address his qualifying performance this season. So Lando took the upgrade introduced at the Red Bull Ring, but Piastri is sticking with the older spec version of the suspension from Canada. So Lando's got this new suspension. But the thing is, I'm calling it an upgrade. I really think it's more of an alternative because McLaren say there's no real performance improvement, but the feel is different. So the feel suits Lando better, which in turn will help his driving performance, which means what you could say is that Lando is having an upgrade. Because if a driver improves his performance by a tenth, that's actually a huge advantage. So when we talk about upgrades, it's not necessarily the car gets upgraded. It's almost like if we tailor the car with the variables to the driver, the car ultimately will go faster because the driver's faster, right? So anyway, that's McLaren. Let's take a little look at what Ferrari are bringing to the table. First of all, let's see where Ferrari are at right now. They're second in the constructors standings with 222 points. They've got Charles Leclerc is currently fifth in the Drivers' Championship on 119 points. He's 28 points behind Russell. Lewis Hamilton is currently sixth in the Drivers' Championship on 103 points, 16 points behind Leclerc and 40 points ahead of rookie Kimi Antonelli. So, what have Ferrari been up to? It just so happens last week, Ferrari had a filming day in Italy at Mugello. Not a test day, a filming day, which presented an opportunity to run the car with a new rear suspension upgrade. Now, in order to adhere to the rules of a filming day, Ferrari were restricted to only 200 kilometers of running to test their new suspension, and that 200k was split between both drivers, Hamilton and Leclerc, and the new rear suspension was designed specifically to assist the SF25 with its ride height issue, stabilise the rear, making it more predictable and prevent any more disqualifications because, as we know, they got disqualified for the ride height being too low, which meant they've had to run the car, well, in F1 terms, super high like a floaty boat, which has a knock-on effect to everything else in the car. The telemetry data from the Mugello filming day shows the new rear suspension works better. Actually, it's a tenth quicker and has improved rear stability. There's less rear lift, it's improved the balance of the car, especially through the high-speed corners, and the ride height issue is sorted. So they can run the car lower than they have been, which allows the aero of the car to work better also. But bear in mind, all this data was collected using demo tyres because it was a filming day, not a test day. So under race conditions with race tyres, they could actually see a greater improvement than I've just told you about. As for the steering problem that they have with the power steering feel that Hamilton and Leclerc have both expressed concerns about, it's still shit. There's no solutions yet. They still have to suffer with their steering's too heavy. That's what they've said. They want a lighter steering feel, but they say under high-speed corners the steering feels too heavy. So that's what Ferrari are bringing this weekend. What do you think about those updates? And also, what do you think about Ferrari managing to use their filming day to actually develop one of their upgrades? I don't know. I mean, is it just a little bit of a bend of the rules, an interpretation of the rules? That's what I've talked about this before. That's what teams need to do. They have to interpret the rules to their advantage. But they are bringing upgrades, and I think it'll be good because, you know, with the 2026 cars being so different, you can imagine a lot of teams at this point in the season, halfway through, sort of thinking, you know, is it what we're going to do? Like, you know, McLaren are so far ahead. Should we really just be focusing on the 2026 car? But they are bringing upgrades. Hamilton needs to get to grips with this car. Hopefully this will help him to do that. And as I said in one of my earlier videos about Hamilton wanting his DNA all the way through the Ferrari car, especially the 2026 car, it comes down to what I said about Lando Norris and his upgraded suspension. The drivers need to, it needs to feel right to them. So sometimes with F1 cars, it's not always necessarily a performance enhancing upgrade. It's just an upgrade so the driver can feel more confidence in the car. It suits their driving style and it feels familiar for them and better for them. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a unanimously better solution, just might just be better for them. Which brings me on to Mercedes. There he is, look at Toto. Now, where are they right now? Mercedes are third in the constructors' standings with 210 points. George Russell is currently fourth in the Drivers' Championship on 147 points. Kimi Antonelli is currently seventh in the Drivers' Championship on 63 points, and he's 80 points behind his teammate Russell. See, the problem with the Mercedes car is that it doesn't work well with the tyres in most conditions. It just chews them up. It's crap in the wet. It's crap when it's hot. In fact, they only work in cold, dry conditions. So the window for good performance is narrow because there aren't that many cold, dry races in the F1 calendar. So to address this, they've announced this week they have upgrades coming as soon as this weekend's Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. Only they haven't said what those upgrades are. So the conversation seems to be a bit like if I'm talking to Toto Wolff and I'm interviewing, I'm saying, hey Toto, so Ferrari, McLaren, they're bringing some good solid upgrades this weekend at Spa. Are you bringing upgrades? And Toto would be like, are they? Yep. Oh yeah, we've got upgrades. No, okay, so you've got upgrades, Toto. What? Your McLaren have got a new floor. They've got an alternative suspension for Lando. Ferrari have got a new rear suspension. What are you bringing? Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We've got upgrades, son. They're going to be fast. They're going to make the car go quicker. Yeah, but what are they, Toto? What are they? Wait and see, son. Wait and see. It's like the kid in the playground who's blagging everybody because, you know, they probably haven't got any. He's under a lot of pressure to bring upgrades. And he's probably in the factory going, get me some freaking upgrades for this week. I'm getting asked about this. I've got nothing to tell them. I don't care if it's new dust caps for the tyres. Give me an upgrade that I can tell people that we've got something for this weekend. Because honestly, I'm not sure they have got any upgrades for this weekend. Maybe they've got a new sticker. Maybe George Russell's going to have a trim and a haircut. Maybe that'll give an extra tenth. But honestly, there's been some PR. There's been some PR going out without any details. And even my man on the ground, Tubby George, he can't find any details. And I tell you, nothing gets past Tubby. So here's my take on the Mercedes upgrade secret. Is they don't know what they are. They probably haven't got any. Or they're going to pull something off the shelf. Because I think Mercedes, honestly, are so focused on the 2026 car that at this point in the season, they really aren't putting that much time and effort into developing this car. They're probably just rubbing their hands together with their, with their engine deal, because they're supplying 3 teams on next in 2026. But yeah, so all this PR that's come out of Mercedes saying they've got upgrades this weekend, I will be incredibly surprised if they do have any. And how are they going to solve the issue of the car churning up tyres? If you've got a car that only works in very specific conditions, cold, dry days, then that's probably only going to be 3 races. Canada, definitely, and they won that one. So yeah, my honest view is they might try and bring some sort of PR thing, some meaningless upgrade. But honestly, I don't think they've got anything meaningful. That's just what I think, but I want to know what you think. Do you think that Mercedes are going to bring something to the table? Because let's recap. You've got a real upgrade from McLaren, which was a surprise upgrade of a new floor, which was only supposed to be, a little test in FP1 at Silverstone. And like I said, I'm sure it's some engineer going, hey, Zac, try this floor out, will you, son? And they've given it a run and gone, flipping heck, this is good. The drivers like it. It's better. And now they're rolling it out for Spa. They've also given Lando an alternative suspension setup, which he prefers, which is hopefully going to solve his qualifying performance issues, because he's got a better feel for the car and he's more confident with it. So they're real upgrades. And we're on race 13 at the weekend? So 7 races left? So they're bringing upgrades when McLaren are the one team that probably don't need to be bringing upgrades. And then you've got Ferrari, who have been struggling. And their struggle, to be fair, is because they basically fucked up the rear... Sorry, can I swear? I think I can. They basically messed up their rear suspension, which affected the ride height, which meant they couldn't run the car as it was designed. Because they got disqualified with having the ride height too low because they cocked up the suspension, they've had to run the car this season at a weird height, at a height that was higher than the whole car was designed. So all their aero's all messed up. So the fact that they've solved that issue with new suspension, and the fact that they have, had the knock-on effect of that upgrade, which will then allow the other parts of the car to drive as designed, they're meaningful upgrades. And Mercedes, it feels like you just wanted to be part of the conversation. You just wanted to be involved. So you've been throwing it out there. But anyway, I want to know what you think. Have your say in the comments. Let's discuss this, because it is Spa this weekend. And I want you to tune in for my live streams for the Belgian Grand Prix. I'm going to be streaming live for the qualifying with our qualifying watch along, and then I'm going to have a race watch along where we can watch all the action together and discuss it as it happens live in the chat window. So I do want to see you all there along for the ride with me. I will be doing live streams up until then, all the way 7:30 every night this week. So yeah, have your say, tell me what you think about these upgrades, and I will be back. So thank you for watching F1 Grandstand. Please like, comment, join the community, subscribe and hit the bell so you can keep up to date. I will be back tomorrow at 7:30 with more news. I'm going to see you then. Ta-ta.